I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
What's up, everybody? It's Oops the Podcast. I am Giulio Gallerati. I'm joined by the wonderful, the hilarious, the very colorfully dressed today, Francis Ellis. How you doing, buddy?
I'm well, Giulio. It's great to see you.
It's good to see you too, man.
And nice to be back in person together. And ladies and gentlemen, fans of Oops Podcast, I think I can safely say we are now officially back in studio for good.
Back in studio, golf clap.
So we did it. We did it. We endured our quarantine. Now we say that, you know, if a second wave hits and the world goes dark again, who knows? But our plan, having weathered the summer and the uncertain months of May, June, etc., is to now, once again, going forward, be all studio episodes. High quality camera clips, high quality microphones, thousands of dollars that we spent on equipment.
High quality conversation.
Yeah. Better chemistry.
HQ Convo.
Better pizza, Papa John's. So we're so glad that you guys stuck with us, and
thank you.
We're pumped to be back together for good. So thank you guys. Gee, my God, so much to discuss.
I know.
You just got off the plane from Alaska.
Oh yeah.
I just got off the plane from Maine. Did you bring presents?
I got you guys some presents.
Oh, gotta start with presents, baby.
There's no reason as to why I just thought that these would be fitting gifts for either of you. This is Francis. This is for you.
Yes.
And Chris, I thought you would enjoy this bear paw hat.
Oh, yeah. You know, I don't have much red because I'm red. And it's a lack in my closet. This is sick. Alaska established 1959. That's pretty recent. Yeah. Chris, what'd you get?
It's all good. Chris got a bear paw hat that says Alaska on it.
So my dad growing up, there's two things that are relevant with my dad.
Let's hear it.
His secret handshake that he did with everyone. He coached our lacrosse teams in middle school and stuff. And his secret handshake was bear paw.
How do you even do that?
Go like this. And he would always make the sound too. Yeah, bear paw. And he would say bear paw like that. And then sometimes he'd go like that. He'd pull away real quick. Thank God he wasn't a pedophile. I feel like people would have seen it coming.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
It's like, you need to have strong character to pull that one off.
Yeah, you got to be really above board, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So that was the bear paw there. And Chris, that hat reminds me of like, I don't know. It just feels like if you went to a cool fishing lodge and then went into the gift shop, that's what they might have.
That shit's tough, that hat. That hat has like tough colors.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
does. And you're wearing a really cool
I'm
one.
wearing one as well.
Damn, you guys look sharp.
We got the Alaska merch up in the stew, dude.
So, dude, tell us about Alaska.
Man, there's so much interesting shit. So first of all, let me just say this, and I don't know if this is fucked up of me to say, but I went and spent $350 on COVID testing just to arrive, and they have all these stations, and they're wearing hazmat suits, and it's the whole deal, but they don't check the file that you uploaded. So not only did it not matter which kind of test I had uploaded or taken, they didn't check at all. I could have drawn a smiley face and been fine.
I've been hearing this. Frustrating. I've been hearing this about various states, dude.
Frustrating, man.
That is frustrating because you spend all the money, you play by the rules, you expect to be called for it, and
then whatever.
Take pride in being a upstanding citizen.
But it's amazing how many people weren't prepared though. They're just standing there on their fucking phones like, ooh, because you had to upload it to like some online portal thing, which was a hurdle enough. Which I understand, like. They want to make sure people are thinking about it.
Right.
And by doing the online portal thing, it feels official and people are stressed about it. And like, I guess I get it, whatever. But dude, so while I'm on the plane, okay, it was a long flight, obviously. I get a text from our hotel.
Just really quick. Do you fly LA and then LA? You were in LA.
I was in LA, then LA to, I think there's direct, but I went LA to Seattle, Seattle to Anchorage.
Okay.
And the plan was I was going to go to this city called Barrow, which is like the northernmost city in Alaska, maybe the world even. But I got a text from the hotel while I'm on the plane that's like, please don't come to our little town. I was like, what? They're like, we have had a COVID outbreak in our little town. And please do not come.
Please don't come to our tiny, minuscule, adorable little
Dude, literally,
town.
like this crazy text. And I'm gonna see if I can find it. I mean, that's pretty much like all you need to know about it. But dude, so I was like, fuck, like, okay, Jesus. And they're like, please take advantage of, we'll give you no cancellation fee on the hotel, blah, 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 blah. So I kind of get shook and I'm like, all right, like, I don't want to go to some little town where nobody wants me there. Like when there's nobody there. But then I start looking online at the statistics and like, there's no new cases. And I'm kind of like, and then we meet up with some guy who a friend of mine, Jade Catapretta, comedian from LA, whatever. She had a friend from Alaska. So she like set us up or whatever. And he was like, yeah, dude, like these little towns will like fake an outbreak so that people don't come because they don't want tourists to bring it because they're like scared because they don't have like that good of infrastructure and they're far away from this and that. So they get scared about the prospect of tourists coming at all. So that he's like, I wouldn't be surprised if that guy just made that up.
The town that cried COVID. What a dodge from them.
I know, right?
And that's also tough because, I know that these towns probably rely so much on tourism too. But clearly they've calculated that the hit they would take from a COVID outbreak far outweighs whatever they lose in discouraging tourists from coming.
Right, I guess. Like these are 3,000 person towns or whatever.
Right.
But dude, anyway, so I get off the plane in Anchorage. We're in the Uber. And our driver is this like, he looks like he was Hawaiian. And I was like, I didn't realize that, Native Alaskans look like Hawaiians. I was like, that's so crazy. So my friend Andy and I were talking about this. We're like so blown away. And then later in the night, we are like hanging with this guy. He's like, yeah, there's a big Samoan population here. Like that guy wasn't the native. Like the natives do look like, what you think natives look like.
Right.
The only difference is they don't live in igloos. They live on the street.
Mentioned that.
Which is fucked up.
Yeah.
But like, dude, there's just like the liquor stores there were crazy strict. Like they don't sell nips in Anchorage. They only sell big bottles. There's a security guy. You get ID'd when you walk in the door of the liquor store and when you pay.
Is this meant to discourage alcoholism?
I think because like the native population has like a big alcoholism and like drug problem maybe. So like it was really dodgy, dude. And I don't know if that was like a COVID thing, but like Anchorage felt like not that safe, which was surprising.
The only image I really have of Anchorage is from, there was a movie that had Ryan Reynolds and the wonderful actor from The Blind Side.
Sandra Bullock, where she's his boss and they have to fake a marriage in order for her to get a green card. Maybe it's called The Proposal or something. What? Yeah, I don't know.
Have you ever seen that movie?
I don't think I've seen it.
It's good. And turns out he comes from money and is part of the sort of landed gentry of Anchorage, Alaska. They own all the department stores.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
nice.
Great scenes of Alaska, but that's all I know of Alaska.
Yeah. It's
How is Anchorage as a city? Is it pretty normal or beautiful?
Great food. There's really nice parts of it. Like the residential parts are really nice. The like city part is like, there's a lot of like homeless people and like people that look like they're on drugs and shit. And that's not just native people. It's like a combination.
I wonder how typical that is or whether it's heightened in this time. Because
I heard that it's both. Like it's the way it is in New York. Like it's more obvious because the normal like non-homeless people aren't as many of them. There aren't as many of them walking around.
Right.
But dude, some very funny shit. Some very funny things happen. So first of all, we're only in Anchorage for a couple of days, and then we kind of do the like Alaska shit, the shit you do when you go to Alaska. So basically, in this part from Anchorage, there's one highway that goes all the way up to Fairbanks, which is like the northernmost big city, and all the way south to Seward, which is like on kind of like the water, and there's like these fjords and all this shit. So like you basically go along this one road. So we went to Denali National Park, and we went to the Kenai fjords and all this shit. And it's funny, it's like really rugged. Like people, it's hard to survive there. Like the roads are always perfectly brand new paved because they're constantly putting in new roads because of how hard it is for roads to survive.
Oh.
They have to pave everything all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're always driving on brand new roads, which is fucking crazy, dude. But
That's interesting.
this is all right. So this isn't exactly an Alaska related thing, but tell me if you guys have heard of this before. This is cracking me up. So we're waiting to go to the bathroom at a convenience store, and the guy was just taking forever. And my friend Andy goes, dude, he's taking a number 3. Have you heard of a number 3?
No.
I'm like, what the fuck's a number 3? He's like, dude, he's jerking it. That's fucking great.
Well, sometimes my number 3s are quicker than my number 2s.
I was like, I've never heard of the number 3.
I've never heard that either. No.
I don't know. I enjoyed that. Another good thing, if you're on a road trip with your friend, a great prank is to just hit the heated seat button.
Oh.
That's just the best prank in the
Hate
world.
it. I start panicking. I think I'm dying.
It's the best prank that exists.
Oh my God, your whole body starts to get the creeping sensation of the heat, and you think it's you at first. You think there's something wrong with you.
Dude, it's such innocent fun. My girlfriend did it to me once. It's just so fun.
Yeah, it sounds like innocent fun. You want to hear a really fucked up dark turn on this?
Sure. Jesus.
So, I heard a story once of, and you know, who knows how true this is, but I think it's true because the people who told me were reputable sources. Said that a girl they knew, like the daughter of some friend, she was paralyzed from the waist down, right? No sensation in her legs. And that she was in one of these cars and the heated seats were turned all the way up and she couldn't feel it. And she got burns.
Oh my God.
Really bad burns on her legs.
Jesus.
But there was no reason that she ended up suing the car company. I don't know if the seat was malfunctioning, but there was no reason, even if you aren't paralyzed, that a seat should get so hot that it should burn your legs.
Dude, that's fucked up.
Right?
Absolutely. There's no that should not be happening. You should be sweating a little too much at the very least, or at the most.
Right. So, okay, so keep going. So you're driving up and down. Did you have an itinerary?
Yes. So the itinerary honestly would have been perfect if this Barrow thing had worked out, because it's like you go to Anchorage, you kind of do like little city thing, whatever. You know, it wasn't like a big city, but then you go to the northernmost fucking place that's like adventurous, you know what I mean? Off the beaten path, not the common thing people do. Then we went on like a boat to go see these glacier fjords. Which is like a thing that people do there.
Cool.
We took a fucking little plane onto a glacier.
I saw that. That looked
sick.
really cool.
Dude, it was sick. Very, very cool. And I found out later that like that company had actually crashed into the side of a mountain the year before, and the people didn't die in impact. They froze to death because no one could come rescue them.
Oh God, it's like that movie with Idris Elba and the woman from Titanic.
Which one's that?
I don't even know.
Something about being in a mountain and
being
freezing.
lost in the mountain. They get injured. They need to climb their way out.
Dude, well then we took a bus
I'm gonna
tour.
see how many of your stories I can relate to movies.
This is good. I know, this is good. We then took these things were all so long. We took this 8-hour bus tour through Denali.
Oh, God.
And dude, it's funny. You see all these animals, which is fun, but they're like 500 yards away.
Oh.
So they're like, look, a bear. Everyone's like, oh my God. But like the bear is tiny. It looks like an ant.
Mm-hmm.
And then the woman has a fucking like camera and you can see a video on the thing. So it was cool, but we're like, fuck, like that sucks that we couldn't get closer. So then we went back into the park by ourselves later, because you can go up to like the first 10, 15 miles. And we got really close to like a flock of moose, which was sick.
Oh.
Which I'm sure you've seen a shit ton of moose in your day.
I have not seen as many in the wild as you would think.
Right.
Perhaps 1 or 2. Are they a flock?
I'm not sure.
Is it a herd of moose?
Probably a
It's
herd.
Probably a herd. I think
A
flock
flock
is
of
typically
dogs.
winged animals. Winged animals.
Dude, but my friend was cracking me up because like people would freak out about everything. Like a fucking crow would be next to the bus and everyone would be like, oh my God, a crow.
Yeah.
And people are like running over and taking. Dude, the other thing that like there's something about the national park population. Like I would love to help the national parks give themselves a makeover because it's so sick, but it's just filled with like boring ass old people. And dude, like we drove off the road a little bit to like get a picture of the moose, and some guy goes, you can't do that. You can't drive off the road. I literally wanted to be like, pew,
Yeah.
He's going to fucking shoot that guy.
What is he gonna do?
Nothing.
You know?
I literally turned around and looked at him and turned right back around and kept filming.
It's the national parks. Yeah, I wonder. You know, there's I guess the beauty in so many of them is that they are untouched, right?
Yeah.
So it's in a way you don't want them to be over glamorized or to have crazy. You know, I think they really limit the hotels and stuff that can be built within them, right?
Oh, I mean, yeah, but so, you know, but there's a lot of hotels and stuff typically outside of them.
Yeah,
It's usually really well equipped for tourism.
Mhm.
Like, dude, even at Denali, it was the last night that Denali was open. Dude, the convenience stores had the entire store 50% off. I've never seen that before.
Wow.
Like a convenience / liquor store, the entire store 50% off.
Pretty good.
On those type of items are never
No.
everything must go.
No.
You know what I mean? So it should be theoretically set up for it, but it's just like not cool.
Mhm.
There's like a couple of them that are becoming cool. Like Zion is like a great like glamping place. Like I feel like LA people go and they're like Zion, yeah. But like there's other, you know what I mean? But like there's others, like Alaska's sick, dude.
I believe it. I don't know much about Alaska, and I'm very impressed that you felt the urge to go check it out. Because it's massive.
Massive.
It's an enormous state. Is it the biggest landmass state?
I think like by far.
Huh.
And they were like listing off some crazy stats about how wide it's like as wide as the lower 48 or something.
Oh my God.
I know.
What?
I know. I like can't imagine how that's even true.
Yeah, that sounds like something they made up to impress visitors.
Dude, and only 1% of it is privately owned. 99% of it's wilderness.
Oh my gosh.
It's fucking nuts. So, dude, another fact that I learned a bunch of these facts on this bus tour. The bus lady was so funny. She had all these stories. It was an 8-hour bus ride. And she'd be like, so these people saw a moose going across the road, but he was running away and they thought that was unusual. But there was a grizzly bear. I was just captivating. I was like, this is so fucking good. But she said that the reason why moose are always in the middle of the road is because they're bad in the snow. They get like all fucking clumsy in the snow. So they just hang out in the middle of the road, which is why I've never fucking seen one, because I'm never in the moose area when there's snow. There's always moose signs and I never see moose. I'm like, fuck this shit.
Oh, okay.
You know how you'll see a moose sign?
Yep.
And no moose, no
Mhm.
corresponding moose?
Boy, so you got your fill of moose.
I saw it all, dude. Grizzly bears from 3 miles away.
Yeah. Well, that's probably
It's
for the
still cool.
best.
Probably for the best.
Grizzlies don't fuck around, dude.
Right. Apparently, so if you see a grizzly, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get big and you're supposed to talk, which I think that's so funny. Because the woman was saying, you go, hey, bear, but you don't need to, it's a fucking bear. You don't have to be like, we're humans. You could say anything. You could be like, suck my dick, bear. I guess you probably want to be nice. Like, suck my dick, bear. Whatever, because apparently they don't like the taste of humans. So if you show them you're a human, they'll go away. Like, they're not going to attack you.
Yeah. I have my doubts about that. Also, you know, how many bears come in for one bite and think, ooh, that's not what I thought it was?
That's a good point. They're scavengers, right?
Are they really going to be that picky, you know? I don't know.
No, dude, totally. And you know what they do? This is another funny thing the lady was saying. So, like, a wolf will kill something, and then the bear will eat and will scare the wolves away. And to make sure nothing can eat the food, it'll eat, and then it'll sleep on top of the food.
Oh.
Until it's ready to eat again, and it'll eat it all and not leave anything for anyone.
I passed out in a bowl of soup once, so I can relate to that.
Did you really?
Yeah, my friend had to pull my collar out so I didn't drown.
What?
I was so drunk.
Oh.
Soup on my face, am I right?
You passed. Did you
I just
splat?
fell. It was like, there was enough in the left of the soup that I sort of put my face in it. And I don't even know how that happened. I was really fucked up. I mean, really drunk, and they had to pull me out. They had to pull me out of the soup.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's sad. That would have been.
It was
really
my junior in college. It was the initiation dinner for the club I was in, the final club. And I mean, we were passing around bottles of wine, and it was like, who could chug a full bottle of red? Full bottle of red wine. You ever chug a full bottle of wine?
No.
It's not fun, dude.
Dude, it's real. Like drinking too much wine feels terrible.
It's awful. Yeah. Yeah. It was total mayhem. So Alaska, here's my thought. Do you remember in Forgetting Sarah Marshall when they talk about why people move to Hawaii?
Yeah, I mean that's like,
Sarah
that's like my
Marshall-
favorite movie.
Yeah.
I don't remember specifically.
Sarah Marshall accuses the girl from that 70s show of moving out there because she gave up on life, kind of
Right.
ran away, sort of. And I can see Hawaii sort of being that way. I feel like people move to Hawaii when they want just perfect weather and paradise and, are sick of city living or something. I feel like people move to Alaska to hide. Like if you've done something really bad,
Dude, that doesn't surprise me.
really bad, you move there.
There's a lot of tough guys walking around those parts.
Mm-hmm.
They even told me, I don't know if I mentioned this, but like one of my friends was like, dude, like stay out of local bars. Like people get wasted and like
Yeah.
love to fight and shit.
Yep.
So maybe, dude, I don't know.
I wonder.
But also they pay you to live there. Do you know that? It's not a significant amount, but every single year you're alive that you live in Alaska, you get $2,000. Everybody in the country, everybody in the state.
So UBI, Universal Basic Income,
Yes.
just for that state. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's what Andrew Yang talked about when he was running for president.
It's an interesting concept. I mean, I know that
It
like some
is.
rich countries do it. Like, I know they do it in Saudi Arabia.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, so overall, would you recommend for people to go?
definitely, it can get a little pricey. But
That
it's-
surprises me.
well, it's just things like add up with
Yeah.
the trip. You know
And
what I
you're
mean?
a tourist, so you wanted to see the fun stuff. And
Like stuff is hard to access. So like
Right.
going, like flying. I highly recommend flying around and like going to these little planes and shit. I mean, I know that I told the story about the people crashing, but I think for the most part it's pretty safe.
Mhm.
Denali's the highest mountain peak in North America, 20,000 feet,
Whoa,
which is pretty fucking
that's
cool.
up there.
And we got like you can only see it 30% of the time, and we got like a pretty good glimpse at it, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
But listen to this. This is a crazy fact. That's not even in the top 110 mountain peaks in the world.
Wow.
There's over 100 because the list stops at the top 110. So I don't even know how many more there are before you get to Denali.
Jeez.
But that just shows how many high ass fucking mountains there
I
are.
wonder how many there are in the Himalaya.
Like quite a few.
How many of the top 110?
I was banging through them, and most of them.
Yeah, that
were.
makes sense.
Which what a crazy mountain range.
Yeah, that one's really intense.
Yeah, dude.
Wow, dude, very cool. Congrats on making it to Alaska. Do you feel like you covered it? Do you feel like you left? You sometimes when I leave a place that I've gone to visit, I feel like I've got this. I didn't get it. I didn't touch every stone.
There's more to do.
For sure.
But I think it was the perfect introduction to Alaska crash course.
Got it.
Did the stuff that people do, and if I want to go get like crazy with it, I can.
But if you never go back, you're satisfied.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Chapter closed.
Chapter closed for now.
That's great.
Well, what have you been doing, dude?
Ooh, boy, oh boy. Well, nothing quite as grandiose as that. I mean that we could spend hours talking about Alaska
Yeah.
for sure. But I have some closer to home things that I would like to pick your brain about.
Please, dude. Please.
So the first thing I want to talk to you about is empathy versus sympathy. So this is something that I've been thinking about a lot, and I have a very good friend. His name's Abba. You've met Abba.
I know Abba, yes.
Abba is, I'll give you a little info on him. Abba grew up in Berkeley, California. He's a very interesting guy. He played tennis at Harvard. He's black. His mom is, I think, a professor of African studies. His dad is white and Jewish. So grew up in a very cross-cultural family.
Right.
Incredible sort of story that he can tell about all of that. And I have wonderful debates with him. We are very open to, I call him whenever I'm in the car, and he picks up and we just sort of yell at each other for 25 minutes. And we have a great time with it. We have the type of friendship that we can do that. And one of the things, obviously he was very affected by the George Floyd and all the ensuing horrible moments, Jacob Blake, etc. And it has a lot of thoughts about it. And I said to him once, because I think he asked me once why I don't bring up these issues more in this group chat that we're in, because he knows that I think about it a lot. And I said, well, sometimes I don't know. I mean, I definitely feel sympathy for everything that's going on. And he got angry with me for saying that.
Interesting.
And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, well, you mean empathy, don't you? Because if you say sympathy, that means that you feel bad for these people, and that's insulting. And I said, well, hold on a second, because empathy to me means being able to relate to a person, to put yourself in their shoes.
That's what comes to mind for me first.
And
as well.
sympathy, by my understanding, was to not necessarily feel bad in a condescending, patronizing way, but to know that your heart feels for something that's happening.
Totally. If you get punched in the face, I'm allowed to feel sympathy for you.
Yeah, you
That's
can
not
feel sympathy for
condescending.
me. If you've been punched in the face yourself, you might feel empathy for me. Right. But he gets angry with me over this use of the word sympathy. And I said to him, well, hang on. If I were to say that I feel empathy for Black people and the struggle that they're going through, to me, that is tone deaf, because how dare I pretend that I can understand what it's like to be a Black person and to face these struggles.
Right.
And so we had this debate, and we sort of kind of understood each other a little better, because he said basically, look, Black people don't want people to feel bad for them. They want change. They want to galvanize change. They want equality. That's not going to be coming from people who just, offer them like, here, have my worn out clothes and warm yourself, whatever it may be, come by the fire. So I wanted to get your thoughts on empathy versus sympathy. Doesn't have to be in relation to what's happening in the world today, but in general, those two things and how they have been in your life.
Right. Well, I tend to kind of side with how you briefly summed it up. You know what I mean? Where it's like sympathy, I feel if it's something that has happened to you that hasn't happened to me.
Yeah.
That's how I typically will think about it. But I think you can kind of twist empathy a little bit. So if you and I have suffered the same exact thing, I can feel empathy for you, right? But I also think that there's some degree of, in that situation, I don't know if this is what he meant by wanting you to feel empathy, but like put yourself in their shoes. Therefore, that can spur some sort of second degree empathy or something.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if this is me overthinking it now because of the discussion. But initially, the way I see it is like empathy, I can relate. Sympathy, I can see that it sucks, but it's never happened to me.
Good. That's a better way, I think, of saying it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people hear sympathy and they just assume you're kind of going, "Aw." And that's not
that.
That's not how I feel sympathy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Same. So it's like a semantics thing.
I
maybe.
feel sympathy for women who have had bad things happen to them, like whatever, victims of abuse. But I have never been a victim of abuse. I have sympathy for all these things. And it doesn't mean that I'm...
No, totally.
Putting them, like thinking less of them or somehow.
Right. It's not like you're like it doesn't mean you're throwing money at the problems.
No.
In any way. Like figuratively speaking. But this is potentially a good segue.
Okay.
Feeling sympathy for victims into the other topic that you had mentioned you wanted to discuss today.
I don't know where you're about to go, but I'm excited to see where it is.
Francis texted me, and I love this. I love that he did this, and I'm happy you did, and I'm happy that this should hopefully show you that I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to get a text from Francis that says, yo, watch this. I want to talk about it.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'll be like, fuck yeah, I'll do that.
Yes.
And I did.
Yes.
And I enjoyed it. And I'm happy that we're here to talk about it because this is some good shit.
Great. This is a great transition. Okay, what do you got?
Okay, so Francis texts me and he
here?
goes, dude, you got to check out The Vow on HBO.
Yes.
And this is actually a perfect time to be talking about it because it's early enough in the season that no matter how comprehensive our discussion is, it will not be spoiling anything.
Correct.
Like
Correct.
you are not going to learn anything here that you won't be able to learn from the trailer.
Yeah. And just with that said, there are 3 episodes out. Go watch them on demand on HBO or whatever. Pause the episode right now. We're not going to, like, I guess, minor spoiler alert, but we don't know what is going to
We don't.
happen.
Yeah, we've only seen the 3 episodes as well.
Yeah. So, I told Giulio to watch this because I am hooked
Yeah, me too.
on this documentary.
Me too.
I am hooked, and there are a couple things. So it's about NXIVM, spelled NXIVM.
Which I thought was very clever.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I thought it was heartburn medicine.
Oh, yeah. It's NXIVM ESP, but the ESP is not extrasensory perception. It is elite success program or something like that.
It's a bunch of jargon. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
So all of this, you may have heard about it because it was up in upstate New York, and the news broke, I think a year ago, of this crazy cult that had been found out for money laundering and sexual abuse. It's a sex cult. It was but there are celebrities that are in it. It was very glamorous and kind of sensational, and I remember hearing about it and having it be a blog that someone wrote at Barstool, and and that was sort of the end of it. I'd never heard of it up to that point.
Right. And I hadn't heard of it until you texted me.
Yeah. But what's so cool about this documentary is that I think you made this point, or someone made this point, that a lot of the best documentaries start out with the intention of painting a certain picture, and then in the process, something insane happens or is discovered, and the documentary pivots to cover that thing.
Yes, I did.
It happened with the Icarus documentary about the Russian doping scandal, and it's happened with a lot of other
Grizzly
things.
Man, Searching for Sugar Man, all these like really good documentaries.
Yes, it was you who said it, and this is definitely the case in this NXIVM doc, because the head filmmaker, who, by the way, is an accomplished, decorated filmmaker and was a major subscriber to the cult, to the program himself, set out to illustrate and sort of document this movement, this organization from a positive perspective. Right? He was a hardcore follower. He's in it. He says, this thing is awesome. I want to spread the word. I'm going to use my skill as a documentary filmmaker to show this. And then, of course, halfway through, he starts to wake up a little bit.
Yeah.
And what's so cool about this is that all of that happened like in the last 2 years.
Dude, totally. That's the coolest part about it.
It is the most recent documentary I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. And that's what's so cool about it. Like, the Wild Wild Country is a much more epic, like, cult, but it happened 40 years ago or whatever. This is happening now.
Right.
And that is what I think is so cool about it.
Right.
It's like, I can really relate to it because it's happening in the era that I'm alive and of age that I could theoretically be susceptible to something like this.
Which
I cannot believe people are still falling for this shit.
Okay, but Giulio, this is the heart of what I want to discuss with you.
Yes, love it.
Because I can say with 100% certainty that not only would I have fallen for this, not only would I absolutely have fallen for this cult, I probably would have tried to start this thing. I would have wanted to spearhead this cult. The guy who leads it, my issue with him is not that he's some sicko. It's that I think I would have done a better job than he did. He's charismatic. Yes. He's well-spoken. Yes. He is sort of a great listener and somehow hypnotizes these people through conversation into becoming, thinking he's almost a deity.
Yeah, right.
Some clairvoyant being. And yet he's got like a ponytail and he's this sort of, shitty looking nerd.
Dude, and the volleyball thing, dude.
Oh
like,
my God.
They're always playing volleyball. It's amazing how there's things that really transcend too.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second. I want to keep hearing about.
So here's why I say I would have fallen for it. And maybe I would have caught on to the warning signs earlier, but
Like the kissing on the lips.
yeah, there may have been some things that I might have thought were stupid. But here's the thing, right? The first 2 episodes of this thing came out and I watched them back to back. And then I had to wait a week until the 3rd
Oh, wow.
episode. So I saw the first 2 episodes. And it is the most positive, most supportive organization you've ever seen.
Right.
And it's all about group activities, retreats in the Catskills, games, helping you work through obstacles. There was this crazy scene of how they cured multiple people of Tourette's syndrome.
Yeah, that was crazy.
How the fuck did they do that?
I know.
So you see all these things, and you're watching this at a time when, you know, we recently discussed my dealing with some depression and some spiraling stuff and darkness, and like struggling to find meaning and looking forward to the next thing. And I'm telling you, if one of these leaders from this place had come to me and had been somebody that I knew and had pitched this thing to me at that time, I can't say for certain that I wouldn't have done the 5-day thing.
Right.
I can't say for certain that I wouldn't have been like, fuck, I feel a lot better from this. Like, let's keep seeing where it goes. And who knows? Who knows? It's not like it's, you know, they're hitting you right in the face with the stuff. They lure you in. And they don't show you the true
Right.
colors.
They
They don't
groom
show
you.
you what's behind the curtain until they have you hooked.
Yes. It's like R. Kelly, bro. It's the same with all of these like weird fucking cults.
Yeah.
They groom you.
Yep.
And before you know it, you lose perspective. And this weird shit they ask you to do
Right.
seems normal.
And Scientology is the same way.
Same way.
Did I ever tell you that I went to the Scientology Celebrity Center on the Upper East Side once?
No.
And did an audit?
Really?
Yeah.
How was that?
I did an audit. I don't know if audit's the right word. Have you seen the Going Clear
Yes.
documentary?
Yeah.
So that's a great documentary too. If I would also really encourage people to read the book because the book is spectacular. Going Clear. If you haven't seen the documentary, read the book first. It's better than the documentary. But the documentary was done by the same guy who wrote the book.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Scientology, right? It's all about self-improvement and finding ways to get, you know, through your mental struggles. They don't believe in psychiatry for some weird reason. They think that mental illness is all sort of a figment of our imagination, that it can be sorted out through these tests and these, you know, weird audits and stuff like that. But I went and did it wearing these spy goggles
Oh, hilarious.
that had a camera in them.
No
and it was
way.
I wanted to turn it into a segment at Barstool and make it funny of me going into the Scientology place and showing what it was really like. And sure enough, understandably, they're not doing anything weird
Right.
for
Up
the
front.
guy who walks in off the
Of
street.
course. Of course.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it was the most friendly, normal, surface level introductory
Mm-hmm.
thing. I took this multiple choice test. It was like 300 questions, which were all pretty redundant. And then from that, they go over your score and they tell you what's wrong with you, how they could help you, what they would do. They don't even really explain the tenets
Right.
of the religion. But if you read Dianetics and you read L. Ron Hubbard's stuff, you start to get into like the origin story and
Right.
the weird volcano and the Xenu princess, all that
All
shit.
that crazy shit.
And then you're
yeah.
like,
the sailor outfits.
Yeah.
Dude,
Sea Org.
so 2 things. So first of all, I forget first of all. Second of all, though, it's funny that you say this because I did a similar thing with those billboards on the side of the highway that are like, "Are you going to hell?" Have you ever seen those?
Yeah, and then the Bible quote?
Yeah, and then there's like a phone number. I called the phone number
Cool.
and I like recorded myself doing it because I thought it was going to be funny.
Yeah.
And it was like, who is Jesus? Or like, Jesus is like, call to find Jesus.
Mhm.
So I thought I'd call and be like, hey, is Jesus there? You know what I mean? Or something like that. And like, see, and like, it ended up just not being not that funny.
Yeah,
Because the guy
exactly.
was like, well, actually, he's all around you.
Yeah.
Jesus is everywhere, Giulio.
And then all of a sudden you start being like, fuck, this guy might be right.
yeah, exactly.
Like I called to be a dick and he saw right through me and taught me a lot about myself.
Dude, yeah, exactly. So, and I think that is important because there is a lot of Like the gray area and the difference between what is a cult and what is a religion and what is self-help. It's like not that, there's not a big separation.
It's such a great point. Why is the stuff in the Christian Bible any more hard to believe or far-fetched than the basic tenets of Scientology
I know.
or NXIVM
Yep.
or any of this shit?
And dude, and honestly, I'm not trying to insult anyone's faith. Like I am not an atheist by any stretch of the imagination. But it seems to me like all you need to do is last for a few hundred years and get enough followers, and you go from a cult to a religion.
Maybe. I think one thing that I realized from watching The Vow and where we are is these places quickly determine who their talented people are, and they put those people forward as their faces, their salespeople,
Right.
their recruiters,
Right.
right? Christianity was built on proselytizing, on people going out and campaigning, on missionary
Right.
trips, on traveling into colonial holdings and trying to build churches and convert people.
Right.
And that's all salesmanship.
Right.
And that's what
What they do.
NXIVM is.
Right.
Right?
Right.
That the documentary guy, and then that woman, she recruited like 2,000 something
Yeah,
fucking people.
I know. She
to
didn't even know what
sign
she was
up.
doing. And dude, so that's important too, because it's like on the surface, the thing that they're doing is good. Like initially,
Yes.
like you said, the self-help and the helping you overcome your obstacles to like you can do what you think you can't do. All that stuff's great. And I've seen people who go to one of my best friends goes to Tony Robbins and like loves it. You know what I mean? But then it becomes a thing where it's like if the leader is like this dubious character who's also doing really fucked up shit, personally benefiting at other people's expenses,
Right.
that's when it becomes
The whole
right?
thing crumbles if
Yes.
that's the case.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it often is, right? And one of the problems is if you start a movement like that, if you start a religion that gains so many followers, it's going to go to your head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that guy, Keith Raniere or whatever, the
Mhm.
guy who started this thing, do you think he set out at the beginning thinking, well, I'm going to get 5,000 people to follow this thing, and then once I hit that number, then I'm going to form my inner circle and start cultivating
Then-
sex
yes.
slaves and
Then I'm gonna start fucking them.
and get to my ultimate goal of being this like deity,
Right.
deified person that everyone worships and has concubines. No, I think he
Got
set
out of
out
hand.
with a normal idea. Everyone fell for it. He got enough people who were literally like worshipped the ground he walked on, wanted to be close to him at these volleyball nights,
Dude,
and
volleyball.
Ultimately,
so like
you're like, well,
Goofy.
then why,
yeah.
if people want to touch me, why wouldn't I be able to have sex with them? I am not justifying his behavior whatsoever. I'm just saying you can see how if people treat you like a god, you might start to think, I am a god.
Totally, and behave like that. And dude, it's incredible how many consistent like things are the same across all of these cults.
Yeah.
Like Jerry Jones, and like what the one in what the fuck's it called in South America, not Guyana.
I don't know that.
Yeah, you do. It's they all drink poison.
Oh, the Kool-Aid thing?
Yes.
Where they all drink the
Yeah.
fucked up Kool-Aid?
Jerry Jones. I can't believe I can't think of the name of the fucking.
Was Jerry Jones in that?
Not Jerry Jones, the football guy. Jerry Jones was
Oh.
his own guy, a different Jerry Jones.
Okay.
But dude, he used to fuck the men and the women.
Yeah.
And like, dude, like David Koresh, like all these things, the Bhagawan or whatever, the Wild Wild Country, and like the fucking Butterfelt cult, like all these things have the same shit. Like the leader's this kind of like quirky guy, and he ends up banging everybody. And like, I hope, you know what I mean? I hope that the saturation of cult documentaries makes this more obvious to people.
Yeah.
Because especially there's what is it about LA that makes people so susceptible
Dude,
to this?
I think it's a few things, right? It's the cult of celebrity, where all it takes is to see that Tom Cruise has joined this thing, and everyone fucking loves Tom Cruise. You know how much Scientology promoted his membership?
Dude, it's the craziest thing ever.
And you know, how many hundreds of, maybe if not thousands of aspiring actresses go out there and are told, well, one way to make connections and network in show business is by joining our Church of Scientology. Here are some of our members, you know, fucking John
Right.
Travolta, Tom
Right.
Cruise, etc. And you know, you're doing whatever you can. That seems like a better idea than bartending.
Right. Well, you know what? I think that, but P.S. It was Guyana, Jerry Jones. Just
I don't know anything about that.
yes, Jonestown Massacre.
Jonestown Massacre.
Anyway, but dude, based on what you're saying there, I think that one of the reasons why LA is so susceptible to this is because you move there, you're the hottest person in your town. And they're like, you could be a model, you can make it. And you go out there. They send you packing, everyone waves to you as you take that bus out there, and you go and you realize how fucking hard it is. And you feel terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, you felt it being in our industry, like you feel so rejected all the time. And here's this group of people who comes along that's like, hey, you're great.
Right.
And they massage you. It's almost the same way they recruit terrorists, dude. In a way.
Totally.
Like-
Well, I think all of it is extremism, right?
Yeah. Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
all right.
They seem very comforting and welcoming, and finally you think, oh, here are my people. You know, did you see how happy those people were in the NXIVM doc?
They were so it was weird how happy they were.
It was like, why aren't more of these people pointing at some dude and being like, that dude sucks? You know? There's nobody
There's none of
talking
that.
shit. Nobody's talking shit about each other. They are clapping. They're running up on the stage to receive their colored ribbon.
Yeah.
You know, and they seem genuinely excited for each other.
Yeah, which is great. That's a great thing.
It is,
But
until
right.
now. Here's the thing that I am excited to find out. I'm assuming there are probably only a few more episodes of this doc. I don't know
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know
Maybe
either.
it's 5, maybe it's 8. The thing I'm excited to see in the last couple episodes, which I need resolved, is at what point did the evil shit start happening?
Right.
At what point did it go from positive support group, helping people through their mental hurdles, you know, encouraging people to ask themselves difficult questions, and something that really did seem like it was making a difference in people's lives.
Yeah. I mean, dude, for an hour, I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
I was like, when is this?
I thought
Sorry.
that for 2.5 hours.
When is the
which
scandal going to happen?
the difference between us, and which is what worries me. Because I'm telling, the reason I wanted you to talk about this so badly was that I've just been so stunned by how much I genuinely thought, like, yeah, I would have fallen for that.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I'm a cynical person.
Right.
I say I would have fallen for it. I don't know.
But dude, no, it's the same way that like, have you ever done like any sort of like acting fucking program or whatever?
Yeah, it looks
It's
like
the
an
same-
improv team.
Right. But it's the same shit. Like
Yeah.
they get you vulnerable. And it gets to the point where for some reason in acting school, like somebody is crying about something every day.
Yeah.
And like they really, and like the teachers kind of abuse you too. They like get you vulnerable and then they start like criticizing you and you have to be really like,
Mm-hmm.
really strong to
Right.
like deal with it. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it feels like the same kind of weird thing.
Dude, so this is the other thing that troubles me about this documentary, and this is going to be a very controversial point. It seems to me that the women were a driving force behind the evil shit.
Yeah.
And it's possible that they were, because we don't know this yet from the having not seen certain things, but maybe the leader, Keith Raniere, got the first woman duped and then had her under his power. And then I think it's that Ally Mack chick.
Oh yeah, yeah. Seems like she's like kind of the ringleader.
Dude, when they showed the brand
Oh my
being the
God.
initials of the two
him,
of them,
that was crazy.
that blew my mind.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So the point is, the inner sex ring or the circle of slaves
Yeah.
is all women.
Yeah.
And it's all women getting other women to join.
And like shroud under the veil of women's empowerment.
That's what I'm
That's-
saying.
That was so manipulative.
It was them saying we're women, we need to look out for each other. Women being
Don't let-
trustworthy
yeah.
of other women.
Men are going to come in with their hero complex and try to stop it.
Bingo.
Toxic masculinity, blah, blah, blah.
And somehow they used all of that to create this fucked up torture based vow group.
Yeah.
And
Masters and slaves. You got to watch it.
It's
really fucking
nuts. And it's really well done. And I'm really enjoying it. But as I said, cults, we picture 40 people out in some meadow watching two people have sex and then sacrificing the newborn child to the elders in the sky. That's not what a lot of these modern day cults are.
Right.
It's not people eating people. It's fucking
Yeah.
starts out as like a software program.
Yeah. I highly recommend the movie The Invitation, by the way. If anyone, have you ever seen
I
that?
haven't, but
It's a horror movie. It's about cults, and it's like, it feels so real, and it's really fucking good.
I've wanted to see that.
A couple of years old.
Good.
You'd like it a lot. You should watch
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Well, dude, it's funny. So again, like back to the point of like kind of the fine line between like what's a cult, what isn't a cult, what's a religion, blah, 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 blah. Like Mormons are a thing that we have kind of trouble understanding, I think. And granted, we hear a lot of the stories about like the extremists like Warren Jeffs and the Church of the Latter-day Saints. But it's also funny to just encounter that weird stuff in a way that's much more casual. And like we were talking about how a lot of the time intermingling can really sort of disarm you in a positive way.
Right.
Here's an example. I was in Zion National Park with my girlfriend before I did the Alaska trip. And to go to Zion, if you want to go to certain parts, you have to take like a shuttle in or whatever. So we did the private shuttle. It was like $30, whatever. We get picked up by this lady and she starts telling us about her family and how her husband was one of 13 and he was a Mormon. And listen to this. And she goes, all the boys in the family are named Jack. My husband's named Jack and all of his brothers are named Jack. And she goes, I just think it's hilarious. I was like, that is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But she goes, but it's a pain in the ass when the IRS is calling us every year trying to figure out who's who.
Oh, yeah? That's the pain in the ass? Not having to be like Jack, 6'2", blue eyes,
Jack
likes
number 4.
Coldplay. That Jack. You don't have to... how many Jacks are there in the family?
Number 4, I think five or 6.
That's so
just
fucking
in that flight of
ridiculous.
boys. I know. So she was being funny about it and like, I appreciated that. But then she said this, and I thought this was great. They have a 60-person dinner every single week. Every Sunday, everybody from all the families, the kids and the things and that, every Sunday.
Oh,
And she's like, and you come and go, whoever's around comes, and it's so nice. And I'm like, that sounds fucking great.
does sound
You know what I mean?
great.
Like, that's a nice thing that Mormons are doing.
Okay. All right. I
You
kept
know?
waiting for the other shoe to drop in this story.
And I think that that's cool. You know what I mean? It was funny to see this lady tell me some story about how weird her fucking husband's shit is. Be like, that's hilarious. She doesn't even give a shit. It's like, she's seemed fairly normal to me. She's telling us all these stories about, their big dinners and this and that. And I was like, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this lady could have been the perfect spokesperson for a cult.
Yeah. Watch out.
Completely disarmed me.
Pretty soon
She's
you're
like-
going to name your 12 sons Jack.
Right. And the same way that in this NXIVM thing, everybody kisses everybody on the lips. Like, I'd be kissing Chris on the lips when I see him. Hey,
Yeah.
Chris. Kissing Francis on the lips. Chris,
their
Chris did a
handshake.
nice.
Yeah.
But, like, they're able to completely overlook that because of the other shit.
Mm-hmm.
The same way that, like, the Jack thing suddenly isn't weird to me anymore because this lady seems normal. And they have a party every Sunday.
Right.
I'm like, oh, well, it's not weird that they named their entire family the same name.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The same way that the kissing, I don't know.
So I see what you're saying. It's that things that when you start to think that small abnormalities aren't that weird, you can then start to rationalize or justify bigger and bigger abnormalities.
Absolutely. But it can go both ways. It can be a great thing.
Yeah.
The same way when you just go to somebody's house who does shit differently, you can really learn. But you can also get yourself in a situation where your guard is let down and you don't even know that you're being preyed upon.
Right. Right.
Which is why it's such a complicated thing. And dude, like, this is the other thing I was thinking. So another thing they do in this documentary, they take Collateral, which is a classic cult thing. So
Yes.
So they're like, all right, I'm going to let you into this secret society, but you need to send me a video of you like shoving something up your ass. And I get to keep it. And if you ever try to leave, we're going to show everybody. Like something embarrassing. And maybe not shoving something up your ass, but that's...
Another thing they do is they had one of the women say a whole bunch of horrible shit about her husband and her kids. And
which she didn't even mean, apparently.
Lies. My husband beats my children. So that if she ever left the thing, they would have that as collateral to discredit her, presumably.
If she were to speak out about it.
Yeah.
Right. So, so that's like an interesting thing that they all these things do. You know what I mean?
They all take collateral.
They all take collateral.
Yeah.
And this should be like and Scientology does it. And this should be like a surefire sign that like something is wrong potentially, right? Like a red flag. The lady even said though, she's like, I felt like it was wrong, but like I just couldn't.
Yeah. Well, they all said that in hindsight, and they all talk about the intuition. The only person who was at all in tune with her intuition was the wife.
The Australian lady.
Yeah, the wife of the documentary maker.
Bonnie. Yeah.
Bonnie. She was the only one who was like, fundamentally, this is at odds with what I think is right and normal.
Right. Well, so my point was, do you have any friends? Like, she's arguing with the lady who has the collateral of her. Nude pictures. She's like, are you serious? This is crazy. But do you have any friends who are just fucking crazy, who think crazy shit, and they're your friend? So you have to engage them. So you find yourself in this conversation with a person who is making absolutely no sense, but they think that they are. And something about like being close to somebody, you like want to respect their angle, even if it's completely not worth respecting. Like in the terms of this cult thing.
Yeah. Yes.
So I get it. I get the dynamic.
I agree with that. But I also think that as I've gotten older, the things that let's put it this way. I'm still great friends to this day with a lot of the guys that I went to college with, right?
Yeah.
But back then, I had 6 roommates sophomore year, right? We were all inseparable. We ate all of our lunches and dinners together in the dining hall. We went everywhere together. We lacrosse practice. We were all teammates. If someone said we should go out tonight, we went out. If someone said we should do this, we should go into Boston. There's a party, a BC party. We should do that. Guys, we should go up to Maine. We should get in a car and we should go skiing at Killington for the weekend. We bought in.
Right.
And nobody's crazy idea seemed that crazy, right?
Right.
But as I've gotten older, everyone has started to follow their own path a little bit more. And I look at some of the decisions that guys that are still good friends, but whatever, that were some of my best friends back then. And I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't fucking do that with him.
Right.
Or I wouldn't follow him down that road. Or at this point, I would never do that. And we're different now. And I am able to think for myself.
Right.
Whether it's drugs or spending money on certain things. You know what I mean?
Right.
And hopefully you are able to hear your own inner intuition against the din of the groupthink.
Totally. Here's the question though. And I feel like this is an underestimated part of this dynamic. So I'm your boy, and we did this thing together, right? And now you don't agree with it anymore. But because you don't agree with it, now I don't like you anymore. Like I think you're wrong, and there's nothing that you can do to convince me that you're right. That's powerful somehow.
Totally.
I don't want my good friends thinking I'm wrong about something.
Nobody does.
I want their approval. And I think that is part of the like grooming process where you get in deep like that, where like your whole life is now, and they even talk about that. They're like, this is like a classic high control group.
Absolutely. I mean, think about how both of the couples that got married said that, 80% of the guests at their wedding were NXIVM people.
I know.
Right. So if you break out, you're not just leaving this thing that you signed up for. You are going against what your husband thinks. You're breaking away from your closest circle of friends.
Yeah. You're leaving your life.
Yeah.
Crazy, dude.
I don't know. Lots to think about. Listen, if you have any experience with cults,
oh yeah,
we would really like to hear from you. If you're in one and you don't know it, please send us why it's worth joining and helping your life. If you were in one and you broke out, we'd love to hear about that. oopsthepodcast@gmail.com is the best place for you to send that information. We will be back next week with lots more to talk about. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Francis. He's Giulio. We'll see you soon.
If you like that video, check out our channel where we have way more videos. I just don't know how to do this. This is unbelievable. If you like that video, we have way more videos on our channel. Please like and subscribe. Turn on notifications if you want to know when there are new ones. But if not, check them out, and we appreciate it.
Oops.